Hey boys, welcome back to the channel, and it is going to be the Origin Game 2 review and discussion. Obviously, bit of a shocker. The Blues winning emphatically 34 points to 10. And yeah, I mean, sort of the overall impressions. The Blues were too good, dude. The Blues were too good. I don't know how many errors they actually came up with, but ever since the first try to Xavier Coates, the Blues were just sort of they wouldn't make a mistake. They didn't give away a penalty. They didn't make mistakes. It was just a very clinical performance. Nathan Cleary's kicking game was outstanding, and honestly, it's sort of not to act like a genius, but a lot of what I talked about in the preview, it sort of came to fruition. Because I was sort of backing Cleary up in that preview. I honestly thought that Cleary should probably be the guy that should have been dropped out of the two. I thought Cleary would stand up, and he did. Obviously, the big point is, Cameron Munster going down literally, what was that, like 2 minutes into the game? I don't think he touched the footy apart from that catch. And I'm not going to say when that happened, I knew we were going to lose, but it was definitely... Yeah, I wasn't feeling very confident when they said he was out for the rest of the game. I'll be honest. But let's go through the team list here. Let's talk about who played well, who played poorly. So the fullbacks, Tedesco as captain. I mean, he played a very similar role in the first game. Honestly, like people would say he was outstanding. And he was, but he pretty much played the same as he did in game one. It just sort of clicked for New South Wales a bit more, and they had more attacking footy. They didn't drop the ball as much. Queensland couldn't get out of their zone, so I mean Tedesco was his usual best. Valentine Holmes, I still think Holmes deserved to be the fullback, and I was still excited to see him play. It just wasn't a game for Holmes. He did his hard work. He looked dangerous at times, but again, like the Queensland just didn't have any good field possession. They didn't have any good territory other than that opening try they scored. Basically the next 50, 60 minutes, Queensland were just stuck in their own half. So, it wasn't a game for the outside backs for Queensland in this one. They just got dominated. So I mean, Holmes, he was safe. He didn't come up with too many errors. Didn't look brilliant, but again, he just wasn't able to get into the game. Daniel Tupou, Xavier Coates. Obviously, Coates scored that very freakish try, set up again by Dane Gagai, who we'll talk about, but was outstanding once again. But yeah, Xavier Coates, I mean, like I said in the preview, they should attack Xavier Coates more, and he came up with quite a few errors. Honestly, he's still, I think he can still hold his head up high. Did the tough stuff. A few drop balls, but I mean Daniel Tupou, that's the thing. Like they just did. The Blues in that first game just didn't have a plan. They weren't attacking Capewell. They weren't attacking Coates. It was a strange game in game one. And Daniel Tupou played much better in game two. I mean, he was huge. Had to be up there for player of the match. I mean, he was outstanding. Both wingers were outstanding for the Blues in this one. I mean, Josh Adokar was probably the best player in game one, and geez, he had to be. I mean, probably Cleary was the best player, but I mean, Adokar was sensational. I mean, the kicks from Cleary were good, but if it wasn't Adokar chasing, the kicks would have been, they would have been good. They would have been okay, but Adokar made the kicks outstanding. On the flip side, I mean, Philip Semi had an absolute stinker. He had a shocker. And I mean, that's the thing. That's the real thing that gets me. Just the lack of urgency, dude. Like, I mean, it's Origin footy. Like, it happens once, Adokar putting pressure on him. He didn't, like, the kicks in behind, he didn't necessarily come up with that many errors per se. Like, he sort of always got to the footy mostly, apart from a couple of times. But it was just a lack of urgency. Like, you just have to try and do something. You know, Queensland didn't have the footy. They didn't have any field territory. And it was just like, Sammy, can you just sprint back? Holmes is back there. Either try to do something, try to get to the ball quicker and put a step on Addo-Carr to stop him tackling you, or you got to risk it. Like, Queensland are getting dominated. You cannot let them just keep getting these repeat sets. Like, you've got to do something and just show a little urgency, a little intensity, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, Addo-Carr scoring a couple of tries and getting around him. I can live with that. Because Addo-Carr, I mean, is he the best winger in the game? I reckon he is. But just the lack of urgency was the real kicker. So, yeah, Sammy had a shocker. The centers, Kurt Capel, I thought, honestly, Capel was still pretty good. Capel was still pretty good. They did attack his side a bit more, and I think it was Hunt on his side, wasn't it? And that's where it was Hunt, Capel, and Coates. So it was a bit of a... Was it Coates? No. It was Capel, Sammy, and Ben Hunt. So it was a bit of a weak edge. I mean, Capel... I honestly think Capel still played stronger than Gutherson. I honestly, dude, I actually hate Clint Gutherson. Dude, I apologize to the Parramatta fans. I know there's a lot of them, and they love Gutherson. I cannot stand him. He is the biggest show pony I've ever seen. Like, he didn't play well at all. I mean, Capel still, honestly, out-muscled him. One-on-one contests, Capel still got the better of him. Obviously, they scored a few tries, but that was just, you know, Ben Hunt, Capel, and Semi defending. It was a bit of a, you know, bag of all sorts. And I know people will disagree, but honestly, Gutherson was no good. He's such a show pony, dude. He does so much talking, and just, I honestly cannot stand him. And again, you know, it's coming from a salty Queenslander, so, you know, take it with a big teaspoon of or tablespoon of salt. And then Dane Gagai v Jack 1. Now, I don't know what the sort of the talk is coming from this. I don't know if people are saying that Jack 1 was better than Gagai. But it was a pretty even contest, I thought. I mean, Gagai got the better of Jack 1 a couple of times. Jack 1 obviously scored that one try, but honestly, Dane Gagai was still incredible. I mean, again, that try, I mean, the try to Coates early, I mean, it was a freakish put down, but again, the move Gagai put on Wyden to set that up, and then other times, I mean, Gagai looked very dangerous, and Wyden, again, I was a little bit, honestly, Jack 1's defense, I mean, Gagai is just, I don't know, Gagai's just on another level, because Jack 1 he's not a weak defender, but he keeps getting beaten by Gagai. But yeah, Jack 1 got him a couple of times as well, so I thought it was a very even, and honestly a good matchup. So, you know, I thought it was an even contest. I don't know what other people are saying. You'd probably, I mean, the Blues obviously won convincingly, so probably a lot of people are saying that one got the better of Gagai, but I don't think so. I thought they were both pretty good, and Gagai was still one of Queensland's best. Then the halves, Cody Walker, Nathan Cleary. It just, I don't know, dude. The combination just looks really good, and I wish they stuck with Keary and Cleary. But Cody Walker looked, you know, he looked very dangerous. He's not he's sort of the perfect foil to Nathan Cleary, and that's why he works well with Adam Reynolds, because he doesn't touch the ball like that much. He's got a good left foot kick, but he doesn't actually kick the ball that much. He doesn't really get his hands on the footy unless there's an attacking opportunity, and he just bobs up when he's needed. And yeah, he just worked really well with Cleary in this game. Obviously, Cleary's kicking game was superb. That was probably the main thing from his game to note. I thought the attacking play was mainly Cody Walker looking dangerous, and then I keep wanting to say Keary, but Cleary was the guy that kept sort of controlling the team, kicking in behind, and just making life very annoying for Queenslanders. And then on the flip side, I mean, Cherry Evans, it sort of just goes to show Cherry Evans needs Cameron Munster in the team. Like, Cherry Evans is a good player, but... And it's sort of the thing. Like, I think any halfback, I know Cherry Evans is going to cop a lot of flack, but, I mean, you lose your 5'8" in the first minute, yeah, you're going to struggle. And, I mean, again, Cherry Evans wasn't playing with any good possession. They looked dangerous. I mean, every time Queensland actually had good field territory, they looked dangerous. Like, they got out... New South Wales, they kept getting around them, but Phillip Sami was like just lacking urgency to really put the foot down, and Dane Gagai still looked very dangerous. So, I mean, the Queensland, they still, honestly, the other takeaway from this game is obviously the scoreline is not good for us, but I'm obviously still very nervous going to Game 3 because it's Origin. It doesn't matter how good our team is, I'm still nervous. But there were good signs. I honestly think Queensland could have scored some points in this game. I don't think the Blues' defense was that good, especially out wide. I still think Gutherson and Jack Wine's defense is pretty shoddy in the centres. They were jamming in a long way with Addo Carr. So I still think there's a real opportunity to score some points. They just need to... Munster not going... getting out of the game in the first minute would help, but I'm not. Game 3, there's good signs there. There's good signs. The forward pack, Daniel Saifidi was once again very strong. Damien Cook was good. I mean, again, Cook, I don't know. Cook is definitely not as good as he was last year, but he's still very dangerous. I mean, that he can do pretty much nothing all game, and then as soon as there's a quick play the ball, markers aren't square, Cook can just carve you up, and he did it a couple of times when Queensland were really under the pump. He played a pretty solid game. Payne Haas, I thought he was okay. I know on the NRL.com ratings, I think they scored Payne Haas a 9 out of 10, which baffles me. I honestly... Dude, Payne Haas is one of the most overrated players of all time. And it's coming from a Broncos fan. I like Payne Haas, but geez, he gets talked up more than anyone. And I do find it funny that the thing with Tino, Payne Haas coming out and sledging him, saying he's riding on the coattails. And most people have pointed this out to Big Payne. But, Tino just won a premiership, buddy. So, you look like a bit of a moron. And yeah, honestly, Payne Haas, I thought he was okay. I just think he's very, very overrated for how he plays, honestly. And I know probably a lot of people will disagree with that one as well, but I don't know. I just, for how big he is, I don't think he's that good. On the flip side, Dynamis Louis, I don't know. I said in the preview that I was skeptical of the decision originally, and then I thought, well, he's your typical Queensland forward. He'll come in and do the job, and he did. But at the same time, he barely played any minutes. So I don't really know why Bennett selected Louis. I'm just like, their team could have been stronger with a Pat Carrigan. Or someone else. Who else am I thinking of? There's a couple other guys that I'm thinking of, but obviously Christian Welsh was a huge loss. And I mean, Louis played decent when he was on the field, but it just didn't really play the minutes. Jake Friend was okay again. I think he was definitely outshunned by Damien Cook in game 2, but he still got through a mountain of work, still put his body on the line, and then Josh Papali was again he was okay without being dominant. I thought he was okay, Josh Papali. I want to see a bit more. I want to see a bit more in game 3. I want to see a bit more mongrel in the forward pack, honestly. And one thing I want to say, So I think it was John's, and then I've seen a couple articles about Papali pulling Crichton's hair. Are people seriously upset by that? I know Papali came out and said that he did it, and he did, but watching it live, he literally just grabbed the top of his head and like his hair. He didn't pull his, like, I cannot believe people are coming out and were upset by that. I couldn't believe Andrew Johns was carrying on about it. I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? After the elbow that Crichton gave Papali earlier the year, he definitely deserved a lot more than that. But he barely did anything. But that's just a little side note. I thought it was very comical that people were carrying on about the hair pull. I was like, he just grabbed the top of his damn head. And then the back row: Angus Crichton, Tyson Frizzell, Jake Trbojevic. And I said in the preview that I didn't think they lost much by Boyd Cordner being out and Angus Crichton coming into the team. I actually think it makes them stronger because Crichton, I think, offers just more in attack, and he's very solid defensively as well. And it sort of played out that way. Tyson Frizzell actually played like a pretty good game. He can go missing, but I thought game 2 he stood up. He did take Cameron Munster out. I'm not saying it was dirty. It was unfortunate, but I don't know. It's a weird one though, right? Because I mean, he did. I don't know. I'm not saying he should have got in trouble for it, but he did tackle him after. Not really tackled. I mean, he threw him to the ground after he'd caught the ball in goal, which you're not allowed to do, and it did rule Munster out for the game. So I'm sort of like, I mean, come on, but I don't know. I guess if I say too much, people are just they'll just call me biased. But I don't know. It's a strange one. It's a strange one. I don't think he necessarily deserves time off or anything. But I don't know. It's a weird one because there wasn't much in it, but a player did miss the game because of it. And then Jake Trbojevic was solid. He does what he always does, basically. Felice Kafusi, I mean, our back row was honestly really good. Felice Kafusi was good. Jaden Sewer was great. I just love Jaden Sewer, dude. He is an absolute gun. And then Big Tino, I thought had a really strong game. I honestly think, and this is the other thing with Payne Haas and Tino, I thought Tino was much better than Payne Haas. I know Queensland got rolled, but I thought Tino was huge. He took so many carries in that opening stanza. He just keeps getting better and better, Tino. And then the bench, Dal Finucane, Junior Paulo, Nathan Brown, Isaiah Yeo. Honestly, Nathan Brown, Isaiah Yeo, they came on and they played some minutes. I didn't really notice them too much. So honestly, those two guys sort of, they did their job that they were meant to do, but they didn't really add too much, I felt. And it's not like a slight on them. They didn't have to come out and really do anything, but they weren't really too much of a factor. Junior Paulo coming off the bench, I thought was a good idea in the preview, and he definitely played a lot stronger than the first game. And then Dal Finucane was, very similar to Jake Trbojevic, just does his work, does it tough, just a solid player. But I don't think their bench was like that incredible. I think their starting pack was really good in this game. And then Ben Hunt so this is where it went downhill. And obviously I talked briefly about Ben Hunt, but geez, he had a shocker. And I still can't believe that Andrew Johns thinks Ben Hunt is a club halfback. I'm shocked that he thinks that. Ben Hunt is a dummy half. Ben Hunt is a dummy half, and he does a good job coming off the bench as like a utility extra, second lock or second 5'8", whatever you want to call him. He does that job really well. He coming on the field playing like full 80 minutes at half. Oh, he was awful. Oh my goodness, dude. He played terribly. Yeah, just not good. And he's shown that before in big games. having the pressure to like steer a team or be the starting half. He just can't play it. So, obviously he was. I guess it was good to have him on the bench because Munster went off, but at the same time he didn't have a good game. Lindsay Collins, I thought he was okay. He definitely didn't have the impact he did in game 1, but still pretty strong. Jai Arrow was massive, and I think probably Arrow was a big reason Dynamis Louis didn't play that many minutes, because Jai Arrow was just, geez, he's a good player. I actually think Jai Arrow is probably our best forward. He was unbelievable. Yeah, Jai Arrow. He's so good, dude. And then Mo Fodawaker. Again, I was keen to see Fodawaker play, but again, Bennett didn't really play him too many minutes, and he didn't have too much of an impact. But I'm keen to see more of Big Mo. I think he's definitely going to warm to the task, and I want to see him just get a bit more amongst it, because he's a good player. But yeah, didn't see too much from him. So again, I think our bench just didn't have the impact, obviously, with Ben Hunt having to basically start. Lindsay Collins not as good. Jai Arrow really good again, but then Mo just wasn't as strong, because before it was Jaden Stewart coming off the bench, and that added a huge spark. But yeah, overall, like I said at the very start, New South Wales were far too strong in this game, and there's still, like I said, there's still good signs for Queensland. I thought their attack looked really sharp at times. Ben Hunt kept dropping the footy, but they caused the Blues outside back some issues still. So game 3, I'm gonna be confident going in. I'm gonna be extremely nervous. But we'll talk about the teams, because there's going to be quite a few changes for both teams probably. So I'll talk about that in an upcoming discussion video. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. If I'm a fool, there's probably a few controversial takes in this one, but yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.